Have you ever really stopped to think about how all the stuff around us gets made? For centuries, the basic idea was always the same. You take a big block of something, like wood or metal, and just carve away everything you don't need. But what if we could just flip that whole idea on its head? Well, that's exactly what additive manufacturing does. And trust me, it's not just some small improvement. It's a total revolution in how we create everything.
So, in this explainer, we're going to break it all down. First up, we'll get into that fundamental shift from subtracting material to adding it. Then we'll dive into how this works with metals using a really cool process called sintering. After that, it's all about polymers and something called rapid prototyping. And finally, we'll pull it all together to see why this is truly a manufacturing revolution.
Okay, let's jump right into the big idea here. Because to really get why additive manufacturing is so special, you've got to understand the old way of doing things.
Right, so for pretty much all of history, manufacturing has been subtractive. Think about a sculptor with a big block of marble. They have to chip away everything that isn't the statue. And that, of course, creates a ton of waste. Additive manufacturing is the complete opposite. It's like starting with a blank canvas. You build the object layer by tiny layer, using only the material you actually need. It's incredibly efficient, it's precise, and it just opens up this whole new world of design. So, to put it simply, that's our official definition. Additive manufacturing is basically any process that builds a 3D object by adding material. It's just a beautifully elegant way to turn a digital blueprint into a real, physical thing you can hold in your hand. So let's get into our first specific manufacturing process and see how this works with metals. The technique is called sintering, and it's all about taking fine metal powder and turning it into solid functional parts. Now, the really fascinating part of this is that last phrase, without it becoming a liquid. Sintering is this super clever process that uses heat and pressure to fuse metal particles together, but it never actually melts the metal. It's kind of like packing a snowball, right? You press the snowflakes together until they stick, but you never actually turn them into water first. Same idea here. The process itself is pretty straightforward. You start with a mold, that's the shape of your part, and you fill it with this fine metal powder. Then you hit it with immense pressure and heat it up, but, and this is the key, you always keep it just below the metal's melting point. That combination of force and heat makes the individual grains of metal fuse together right where they touch, creating a strong, solid piece. So you might be thinking, why go through all that trouble? Well, the payoffs are huge. First off, since you're not fully melting the metal, sintering uses way less energy than traditional casting. That's a big win for costs and for the environment. It also lets engineers get creative and mix different metal powders to make unique alloys that wouldn't normally blend. And, maybe coolest of all, you can control the density to make parts that are just as strong but a lot lighter, which is an absolute game changer in industries like aerospace where every single gram counts. Okay, let's switch gears now, from metals over to polymers. This is where additive manufacturing really exploded into the public's imagination, mostly through something called rapid prototyping.
Rapid prototyping is pretty much exactly what it sounds like, making a physical model or prototype incredibly fast. We're talking about going from a digital design on a computer, an engineer would call it a 3D CAD drawing, to a physical object in your hands, sometimes in just a matter of hours. This is absolutely revolutionary compared to old school methods that could take days or even weeks just to make one test part. Now, the most common type of rapid prototyping, and the one you've probably seen, is fused deposition modeling, or FDM. This is the technology that powers most of the desktop 3D printers out there. It works by melting a thin plastic string, or filament, and then carefully depositing it, layer by layer, to build up an object. The whole process is really elegantly simple. First, some software takes the 3D digital model and slices it into hundreds or maybe thousands of super thin horizontal layers. Then the printer's head gets to work, moving around like a very precise robotic hot glue gun, and it draws that first layer with melted plastic. Then the platform it's building on drops down just a tiny bit, and the head draws the next layer right on top. And it just keeps doing that, over and over, until a complete object emerges from the machine. But FDM is not the only game in town. There's another key method called stereolithography, or SLA. This is a bit different. Instead of a melted plastic string, SLA uses a highly focused laser to literally draw a design in a tank of liquid polymer, hardening it one layer at a time. Now, that special liquid polymer is called resin. And the key thing about this resin is that it's photosensitive, which is really just a fancy way of saying it reacts to light. When a very specific wavelength of ultraviolet light from the laser hits it, the liquid resin hardens almost instantly. That's the magic behind this whole process.
So try to picture this. You have a build platform sitting just below the surface of a tank filled with this liquid resin. A laser, usually from below, draws the first layer of the object, and wherever the light touches, the liquid turns solid. Then the platform lowers just a fraction of a millimeter, and the laser draws the next layer. This repeats over and over, with the object literally being pulled out of the liquid until it's complete. It's like watching something being built out of pure light. Okay, so let's talk about the trade-offs. On the plus side, the advantages are massive. You can create these incredibly complex shapes with all sorts of intricate internal structures, all in one single print. This lets designers test out and evaluate new ideas at lightning speed. But there are some cons. The range of materials can be a bit limited, especially on the more affordable printers. And this is a big one. A plastic prototype probably won't have the same strength or heat resistance as the final metal or injection molded part. It's perfect for checking the form and fit of a design, but not always for testing how it works under real-world stress. So when you put all of these technologies together, the sintering of metals, the rapid prototyping with polymers, it becomes really clear that we're not just talking about a cool new tool. We are talking about a fundamental, ground-up revolution in how we make things. So let's do a quick recap. The big shift is from subtracting material to adding it. We saw how sintering does this for metals using heat and pressure. We learned that rapid prototyping builds a whole part from a digital file in one go. And we looked at 2 ways to do that with polymers. FDM, which is like a robotic hot glue gun, and stereolithography, which uses a laser to solidify liquid resin. Each one is a powerful new way to bring a digital idea into the physical world. You know, this quote from our source material really hits the nail on the head. This is what makes this technology so mind-blowing. Imagine trying to drill a complex, curved cooling channel deep inside a solid block of metal with old-school tools. It's basically impossible. With additive manufacturing, you just design the channel right into the digital file and print the object around it. This lets us create designs that are lighter, stronger, and way more efficient than anything we can make before. And that leaves us with a really fascinating thought to end on. We're moving away from a world of mass production and into a world of mass customization, a world where parts can be made right where they're needed, exactly when they're needed, and optimized in ways we're only just starting to dream up. So the real question isn't just what can we make anymore, it's what will we make when the only real limit is our own imagination.